the medic ability has to be used in order to unstun all of our accelerators. The wardens are going to stun again, so it's important to sell and rebuy the medic so that the ability can be used and all the towers will be unstunned. But once you're past this wave, you can finally relax because the rest of the load is not going to be that difficult. Well, so long as commander player change their commanders will. I get my final accelerator right there on wave 37, and now it's time for me to max all of my commanders just so they can see all of our towers. By the way, we've now started working on rangers. It's important to start placing rangers at this quarter so that you don't place them right on top of the commanders and end up blocking the commander user from being able to chain them. And yes, forgot to mention there's more wardens on wave 38, but that's why we have a medic there. It's time for me to now start working on turrets, and now I'm just going to place them around all of our defenses. They have such a massive range, they'll be able to see the boss from pretty much anywhere. Now, even though the rangers were placed kind of far back, they were still getting in the way of my commanders, so I had to turn my camera and chain from this angle. I get my final turret placed down right there on wave 39, and after maxing it out, I now have to place rangers. The thing is, it is wave 40, so I actually have to make sure I chain my commanders while still placing down my rangers. I get my rangers on this cliff over here, and again, I'm chaining my commanders in a way that 100% guarantees that the ability is up at all times. As for medic user, they're now just going to have to sell and rebuy medic every time towers get stunned. By the way, I get my final max level ranger just as the gunslinger comes out. All of the accelerators immediately lock onto him, and he's going to start spinning and shooting all the towers. This is what selling and rebuying the medic is very good for. While the gunslinger is facing away from the towers, that's when the medic ability should be used. And just like that, we've already dealt 150,000 damage to him. All while this is happening, I'm still chaining my commanders. Gunslinger will drop down to half HP about halfway through the map. He might stun abuse quite a bit like you're seeing here. And honestly, after the guardians die and all of the turrets, minivitters, and rangers lock onto the boss, as well as the accelerators, well, his HP is going to go flying down like it's nothing, so long as you keep chaining your commanders well. Just like that, you'll take out Gunslinger with still some space left on the map, meaning that you, as a level 25, with no farm, could have earned Cavalry just as easy as this. Again, strategy is in the description. Like and subscribe if you win, and see ya.
I looked at the rarest and most secretive items in TDS, including event towers, unobtainable emotes, limited time codes, and even bell-broken towers. So to start, TDS of course has event towers, limited time use which are only available for a brief time period. However, events usually also come with special skins for the towers, and these event skins consist of some of the rarest series in the game. One example would be the Halloween 2020 set, a massive series which brought back some 2019 skins and added a ton of new ones. These skins have been unobtainable for over a year and a half and are the rarest items I own, other than bunny skin, of course. The ghost skins have a massive distinction from other cosmetics, but an underrated skin is definitely the graveyard farm. This skin features a graveyard. Throughout the upgrades you gain some more ornate decorations and eventually a statue, but the final level is truly great, as the statue becomes a recreation of the Lord's Minster, the final boss of the Halloween game mode. And there are some nice details like the fences and stone pumpkins. Additionally, it's equipped on farm, probably the most commonly used tower in the game, where it also gets a unique font and sound effects upon money generation. Another interesting skin from this crate is the Demon Gladiator. It has a very uncommon aesthetic compared to most other skins, being gothic and edgy. The sword art's base level actually emits fire particles, and as its upgrade, it later gains a sight. However, it has one small problem, which is that the helmet's on levels 2 to 4 looks pretty easy. Like there's no way he can breathe in that thing. But luckily at the final upgrade, it does gain a feather hat. This skin also uses what appears to be the default Roblox meshes for some of the armor, and it's generally kind of strange. Considering it's an event skin for an event tower, it's doubly rare, but for an actual tower, it doesn't get much rarer than the mecha base. One of two known towers in TDS which are exclusively given to developers and handpicked staff members. For the average player, there is no way to obtain either of these, which is why I don't have them. But the admin Thatcher volunteered to play a bit with me to show me these towers. Along with the War Machine, he brought Mecha Base. This tower was actually briefly available in the hardcore testing back in 2020, but it was only temporary. It was removed along with the beta, being impossible to get in the current game. Still, the tower is pretty strong. It functions somewhat similarly to military base, having a station command center which spawns marked walkers. Its early levels feature a rider on the Grey Walker, and even at level 0 it spawns with a very high 400 health, equipped with a damaging turret. Upgrading it to level 3, it gains a windscreen, an improved Gatling gun, and more health. And at level 4 it gains a secondary gun and a sort of yellow bandolier, along with a more bulked out operating station. This tower is very powerful, literally having so much range it can cover the entire map, along with a massive impressive 2,000 health and explosive rocket. Then finally, at its max level, the Mark V spawn. Its dual guns do approximately 400 DPS and it is 5k health. The gray color scheme gains black accents and some blue fluorescent lighting, which really gives it a futuristic feeling. Its operating base also gets improved, where the base features the original design, similar to a certain tower from a certain game, which was later reworked in the current version. Overall, it's a pretty overpowered tower, which definitely is slightly unfinished, as it's missing some garage models and is very unbalanced, except in a good way. Aside from exceptionally rare towers, some emotes are also very uncommon, like the Cauldron, the last item in the Halloween 2020 Battle Pass. Although this was the longest event in TDS history, the player base is much smaller. And with how long the Battle Pass was, not many people completed it. The emote itself spawns a dark cauldron filled with purple goo, and the animation causes the player to mix around the vat, which also includes some micro-scale zombies. The emote is a bit glitchy, so that can be kind of fun. Or you have the recliner emote, obtained for the Frost Invasion event, which places the player's avatar in a lawn chair with a refreshing drink, burger, or the Lazy Couch, the iconic emote of OG players, which I don't have, since I only joined the game in 2020. Next, I will look at some of the rarest code skins. For TDS's 2-year anniversary, a code was given for one party crate, a previously retired crate only available during 2019. I was able to get 1 of 3 skins with this limited code release, where I got the Soldier. Unluckily, these skins have been heavily nerfed with tower rework, going from bright and colorful party outfits to just the regular tower with a special hat, and a unique sound effect in place. This is one of the most obscure sets of skins in the game. It's pretty neat memorabilia, even with only a minor change, almost being more of an Easter egg rather than a fully developed skin. There's another surprisingly rare set of skins for the Minigunner, the Twitter and community skins. Both were limited time codes released to celebrate milestones on Paradox Engine socials. These codes came out in 2020 and 2021 respectively. Both of them have a similar theme, with a blue aesthetic in varying shades and only minor changes to the actual model. But the best feature of these skins can be seen on the last soldiers, as they get much darker armor with small neon patches for their respective social media platforms of Twitter and Discord. These aren't the most noticeable, but similar to the party skin, they're a nice bonus, which adds a lot of character to the tower, and the neon gives it a futuristic feeling, somewhat similar to the prestigious War Machine itself, although the armor isn't technically the safest. And lastly, the present farmer is also a code skin, which was only obtainable during Holiday 2021. This skin focuses on a pile of presents in the snowbank, gaining a sign with the game's logo, more gift boxes, and a sled as it levels up. It also gains an ornate red and yellow sleigh and a suspicious character at max level, a relaxed and festive skin. Custom area farm, it also features a unique font and sound from Money Generation. This is one of the less rare code skins, but still better than most others, featuring something entirely new as opposed to recolors. A very strange skin is the Eclipse Seal armor for Executioner. To obtain this skin, you just have to own the tower, and the cosmetic itself is a pretty wide variation from the regular version, gaining a bright, light-filled head and a helmet with some strangely shaped horns, and not much else for the following upgrades. But on level 4, the tower gets a safer helmet and much more detailed armor, where at its final level the tower gets gold details, which make it look somewhat like the Umbra final boss. It's also decked out in a ton of gear, with a very ornate double-edged axe, a scabbarded dagger, and a small waist cape. Overall, a pretty great skin. So going back to towers, an actual event unit is the Toxigunner, only available during the 2020 Halloween event. This tower is a mixed bag. On one hand, it does have a unique slowing ability to its shots, functioning as a supportive tower, which nerfs zombies to let other towers damage them. And design-wise, the Toxigunner excels with its nuclear theme, which shines particularly on its last stage. It has ammunition containers full of toxic goop, a full mask and respirator, and the hybrid Gatling paintball type gun, but it has no real DPS, peaking only at a miserly 25. There are plenty of other debuffing towers, like Warden, Sledger, or even Electroshocker, which have more utility and additionally have much better DPS stats, aside from Electro. Many event towers fall into a similar tier of mediocrity, like the Archer, whose piercing ability isn't enough to make up for its very bad damage. It can detect flying zombies, but the same is true of much rare towers like Pursuit, Ace Pilot, or Executioner. And there's even more rare event towers like Commander or Frost Blaster, which I don't even have, that have their roles replaced by other towers with better stats. Lastly, there is one more very rare tower. In my game with Thatcher, there was another devil-only tower showcased in the War Machine. Visually, it has a very clean aesthetic, with some high-tech gear on a fairly basic tower. This is an old model, which naturally hasn't been reworked, since it's literally unreleased, although maybe not for long, but still looks pretty good, with the mounted guns perfectly capturing the feeling of brute strength. And through its levels, it gets better and better armor, with more futuristic lights, stronger weapons, and a visor. Funnily enough, the upgrade icons for this tower can actually be seen on the acceleration accelerator as placeholders. But when upgrading War Machine specifically, it has a unique animation on its last level, where a void portal envelops the tower, and its final design is definitely the best. But gameplay-wise, the tower is also very strong, with high stats, I think. On its final level, it will also give a damage buff of 20% to all nearby towers, meaning it's also technically a supportive tower. As we played through the game itself with the two unobtainable towers, it went about as you would expect. We faced minor challenge, as we melted pretty much everything, and killed the Fallen King himself easily. Overall, the developer-only towers both have some of the best designs in the game, even if they are extremely overpowered, and they might eventually be available for everyone. It's pretty fun to look at some of these obscure towers and items, which I've been collecting over my time playing, and now I'm going to tell you to subscribe if you're not. It only takes a few seconds, and it really justifies me putting more time into longer and deeper videos like these. Thanks for watching, subscribe, bye. This is a map I made that could become an official Tower Defense Simulator arena. I mean, it definitely will not, but he just recently implemented a new system which allows users to submit their own custom-made TDS maps. Now, there was already this whole submission system, but it appears as if this new community maps feature majorly streamlines the process. In that, like a lot of the TDS maps, with these custom ones, they're definitely cooking with these. Starting off with the easiest maps, I won't work my way up to the most challenging, and look at what is, in my opinion, the best map in the entire game. Before that, we have to start with Honey Valley, one of the brightest maps in the game. I might actually start taking thumbnail screenshots here. It's a somewhat simple map compared to the others, but the color scheme and design carries hard. With the flower beds, the pot of honey creating a waterfall, the little bee houses. There's one thing that's kind of off with this map though, as the texture of this map is kind of coarse. It almost looks like an unleaded texture. It just seems a bit odd. They garnish the 3 roofs this map has, and has nice little vibes, which make it one of the easier in the game. On par with Happy Home of Robloxia. Now this one is a bit weird to me. I mean, quality-wise, it is solid, but it's also very simple. That's definitely the point of the concept. I just don't feel like it's very strong. Like, if you gave me a month, I could probably make this. It feels kind of carried by the novelty of the retro aesthetic, somewhat similar to Area 52, another map that somewhat kinda not really reminisces on the past, as TGS's first event was Area 51, so it's nice to see the idea revisited. However, this map feels a bit plain. The army encampments and fire planes are clean, but I feel like there's only so much you can do with sand and rock. This map is a funny little Easter egg though, a trend that's been somewhat revived with this and other custom maps. In the case of Area 52 being an actual written sign, which references TDS and the original event, that, along with a descending ramp to an underground base, had a lot more to this map. And overall, I just think that compared to that map here, it is really The Heaven is an ethereal map. It has some brightly saturated grass, the white brick castles, and of course, the entire archipelago is located in the sky, ringed by clouds. There's a waterfall directly flowing from an upper island, with actual moving water, and the trees have particle effects suggesting some mystical crop. Minecraft green apple. It's a really serene map, and probably would be my favorite, if not for one other that I'll talk about watching the video. Then you have the direct opposite of this map, the Atlas Coliseum, with gritty sand, literally, flowing everywhere. To be fair, it does create a pretty cinematic effect. All around the ruins of a Greek Coliseum. You got this little trap door, maybe a conduit to bring new prisoners in. It doesn't actually go anywhere. The map is somewhat small, but there are a lot of subtle details, like the stone walls, which I don't think mean anything, or these statues with small differences in their poses. This guy, that guy, this guy, honestly there's just a whole bunch of them. Or the statue of Atlas, holding up the world. Yeah, I only noticed that by checking the wiki, I'm not that smart. Overall, it really nails the aesthetic of an ancient Colosseum, minus the horrible atrocities. To lighten the mood, the enchanted forest. We're getting close to the end now, and that's immediately apparent due to the 2 paths this map has. Yeah, this is just outrageous. I like this map, but I feel like Fungi Island took a similar aesthetic and added a bit more life to it. The forest itself is very gloomy, despite a few fun details, like this rope leading up to the cliff tower platform, or this derelict lighthouse. And of course, the rising particle effects all around that combine with the map's fog effect to create a somewhat mysterious air. Still, the zombies feel very oppressive. Like, there's 2 groups of them? What? Nah. How about 3? This is Derelict Outpost, probably the most depressing map in the game. The island is drenched in gloomy, dripping, black goop. I mean, there's a few houses, all abandoned with caved-in roofs, some probably poisonous mushrooms, and of course, the gaping castle which spawns 3 times the normal amount of zombies. Fun! As with all the others, this map is of course very well made, but I don't think I'm going to be playing on it much. It is just legitimately depressing to play a match on. Very much unlike the final custom map here, and in my opinion the best, was the Case Kingdom. This is a pretty giant map that really encapsulates a sense of verticality with the ascending sky islands and various zeppelins around, including this big one acting as a zombie carrier, decked out with an inverted observation dome, turret, captain's steering wheel, and of course, some rotors. Please subscribe. This is also a map packed with Easter eggs, such as the masthead of this ship, a statue of one of the map's creators, it's Jakku, with a similar first-person arena. This time also featuring a statue of Axus, the other developer who created this map. And it's easy to see why they made this a team. There's all these banana trees, and the little floating homes of the residents who have apparently been eating them. Perhaps citizens under the rule of this castle. Funnily enough, you can actually see the door has been mortared over from the inside. I don't know how the zombies are getting in. Now, castles are a somewhat common idea in TDS maps, and the mix of other themes here really helps it stand out. And one of my favorite little details, this giant kraken monster, about to devour this clueless egg guy. His little boat is sinking. Overall, a top tier map, and one I'm definitely going to be playing a lot. It's dueling. Never mind, what's the point? To be serious for me here, all these maps are very solid, and it's cool to see more variety in style and theme here. As while your adversary is definitely a skilled modeler, he makes pretty much every map in the game. So having independent developers get a shot is good to see. Comment your favorite map. If this video gets 7 likes, I'll make my own map and submit it, and get rejected. This is the Slasher Tower, and this is the Gladiator Tower. Notice the similarity. Although most towers in TDS do feel very distinct, some feel more like upgraded variants of the same concept. So I tried using the basic and advanced versions of these loadouts to see which towers are actually better. The first of which include 2 towers with upgraded variants in Hunter and Ace Pilot. Ace Pilot has a very similar competitor to it in Pursuit. Both the aerial vehicles with explosive abilities and the same color palette, their strengths differ pretty drastically, as shown in this first game. Ace Pilot continuously shoots and flies in a circle. It could only hit the zombies for a brief amount of time, but did solid damage. So for the early game, I just placed a couple near the front of the path. The tower also gets bombs on only its 2nd level, very nice for crowd control. I then placed a Hunter, another tower with a variant. It's a cheap source of hidden detection, unlike Ace Pilot, but other than that, it doesn't really have a lot going for it, unlike the other version. By saving money from my farms, I was able to fully upgrade an Ace Pilot before the fallen zombies arrived. The tower's damage gets extremely high at this point, enough to kill any zombie while it's in range. But surely that won't be a problem later. And for now, the planes killed the fallen zombies with their 180 HP. In the mid-game, I started to place many towers, mainly Ace Pilots, plus a few more Hunters. The slow boss was the ideal target due to how slow it moves, and I killed them easily. However, there was a problem. The tank on wave 30, which I knew would be very fast. I fully upgraded a few more Hunters for the consistency, but I knew their damage wouldn't be good enough to carry. So I just had to hope that with 6 fully upgraded planes, I would just barely be able to kill the tank. But speed was an issue, as it constantly outran the Ace Pilot's range, and it ended up killing me on its debut wave, meaning I had to upgrade this loadout. I replaced Ace Pilot with Pursuit and Hunter with Archer, also equipping some support towers for good measure. Pursuit is definitely the advanced version of Ace Pilot. The original tower only costing 1,500 coins, and the Pursuit unlock requiring you to reach level 100, making it about 100 times harder. So surely it's about 100 times better, right? Meanwhile, Archer is a different spin on Hunter's concept, using a literal bow and arrow. The main draw of this tower is its piercing ability, which I hoped would carry me in the early game while I saved. Unfortunately, although Archer is definitely stronger than Hunter, it's still kind of bad. It doesn't get piercing until level 3, and when it does, it needs a perfect lineup to actually work, and this guy is not a great shot. So with the Archer struggling, I had to pin my hopes on Pursuit, which I got enough money to place in wave 10. The main difference between the helicopter and the plane is that Pursuit will not constantly rotate, and instead target zombies. Unfortunately, this is just as inconsistent as Ace Pilot, since the tower might just let zombies by while focused on a boss. Additionally, Pursuit is proportionately much more expensive. The run was going poorly, so I placed a DJ and then Commander for the buff. However, disaster struck on wave 25 as the glitches spawned. These zombies were too fast for the archers to chain their piercing through, or for the pursuits to lock onto the front runners, letting a large chain of them by, causing me to lose. Proving that the advanced versions of towers aren't always superior, but I'm pretty sure things will be better for the Slasher and Gladiator. Both are towers with a similar role of early game defense, however Slasher is not quite as good. It costs slightly more and takes slightly more space, and its damage is pretty mediocre, even at its final upgrades. The one gimmick it has going for it is its knife throw ability, allowing it to double as a ranged tower in addition to a melee one. However, this knife throw's use is limited, and it doesn't really excel in either department, mainly because of what it doesn't have. In this case, Gladiator is a pretty clear upgrade. It's very strong in the early game, being cheap to place and upgrade, and importantly has piercing on its strikes, giving it much stronger crowd control than Slasher. It also gains a Warrior's Call ability on later levels, a generally more useful ability than Slashers. To see the difference between the two, I decided to solo with each tower on its own. Although Gladiator is more suited to being a supportive tower, it still performed well, only losing to the mid-game Fawns, whereas Slasher started struggling pretty early on, and had to place multiple backups in the rear of the map. I do think Slasher is a bit underrated, but Gladiator is still a better tower. One of the most intense power jumps comes with a Sniper Tower. Unlocked from level 0, this tower itself doesn't seem particularly strong, with a very low fire rate and average damage. However, it does have a few positive traits, such as its cheap cost, massive range, and the potential for cliff stacking, meaning that despite being one of the literal starter towers, it does have some niche use, and it is possible to use it to get pretty far in the Fallen game. However, the evolution of Sniper's design is definitely a Ranger, over 10 times more expensive to place with much higher DPS and a more futuristic design. It's a staple of the game, and improves Sniper's concept by now giving it enough DPS to actually be useful in harder game modes, like Hardcore mode, where I originally used this tower to grind for Accelerator, although it has kind of fallen off. But even good loadouts can be upgraded in TDS by using the very best of the available towers. For example, this team is fairly good on its own. Cowboy can generate money, and Minigun and Quick Boss are solid DPS options, supported by the last two towers. So you might think this can't get much better, but putting it to test and Fallen, at first things went well. Cowboy does okay, and there's plenty of money, and Electroshocker support lets me kill the early bosses. Trouble started around wave 15 with the mystery zombies, which spawned 3 bosses. I did place Minigunner, however with no gold perk, its damage wasn't that great. Going into wave 20, I was very worried about the Fallen zombies, and they did pass the bulk of my towers, but luckily the zombies glitched out and got stuck in a corner, or so I thought until I lost. I don't know exactly what happened, but clearly this team is cursed. However, this loadout can be fully upgraded. Each tower has its role replaced by an effectively better variant, with higher DPS, better economy, more damage-centric support, and the improved stuns. So I took this team into the same game mode to see if I could beat the previous loadout's record. I again passed through the early game with little trouble, as the crooks easily killed the mysteries thanks to the better support of Warden and Commander. Some Fallen zombies did get past, but quick bosses spawned bodyguards were able to damage them enough for me to survive. The glitches on wave 25 weren't much of a problem, and the biggest threat, the tank on wave 30, died very quickly, getting stun locked heavily by Warden's stuns, and being lasered down by Accelerator with the help in Crit Boss. But at this point in the game, it spawned a massive horde of its own agents. However, things started to shift around wave 35, and moving into the final waves, I was struggling thoroughly, as my farming wasn't exactly optimal, and my accelerators weren't fully upgraded, leading me to get overwhelmed. And although I did make it 17 waves further, I'm at the same end as the unupgraded version of this loadout. There are also some more loosely connected towers with powered up versions, such as this loadout, which has Demo Man, a pretty standard beginner tower notable for its splash damage. However, the improved version of the tower is present in Mortar. The level 75 experience reward, this tower is similarly cheap, with a much larger range and more versatility due to being a cliff tower, or the paintball, unassuming and easily unlocked tower. It's not very good and only really has some niche use, with no special effects to its projectiles. In the upgraded loadout, I can bring Toxigunner, another tower focused on shooting goopy substances, however much less superior in the fact they can actually debuff the zombies it hits. Despite the fact that they're both more so supportive towers, I brought the two of them in an upgraded loadout to Fallen mode, where I survived fairly handily, as Mortar's splash damage could take out large waves, helped by Toxigunner's slowing. Bosses were a struggle with their high health and singular nature, but even so, I did manage to chip down or even kill some of them, tanking the rest. With this loadout alone, I was able to make it to wave 14, and I could have gone farther, except neither tower could detect hiddens, one area where both versions of the loadout would struggle. Honestly, the possibilities are vast, and I want to speedrun some upgrades. Any tower with a golden skin can instantly be upgraded to become a lot stronger, if you're willing to grind for unholy hours. But even some emotes can be upgraded, which is most apparent in some of the Halloween lore. The torch is the lowest tier with a basic prop and no animation, but that can be upgraded to the candy throw, which can then be maxed out with the cauldron emote, with yet another new animation and a very unique accessory. And of course, you can literally upgrade the rotational battle passes to get cool skins like an Underpaid Intern, or you can even upgrade cars with developer-only variants, like Target.
Seconds later.
They're here to loot our harvest. Wait, defend the center and find the plot around us.
A few moments later.
Unknown flying object inbound. Watch out for deadly laser attacks.
A few moments later.
I am invincible! Invincible!
Moments later.
Ducky Doom. This is it. The final stand. Defend the center by all means necessary.